Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the James and Brown Podcast. I'm your host Raj, and with me, until I replace him for calling me a weeaboo, is Spencer.
Hey everyone!
How you doing, Spencer?
Not good.
Yeah, why aren't you doing well?
Well, it's been like 5 days since I've watched anime.
I also not doing well, but for a different reason.
Why?
The World Golly Knows is ending. My favorite ongoing manga series. I learned it was ending yesterday. Yesterday, the second to last chapter came out.
It's not that good.
How dare you? How dare you?
It's not that good.
It's my favorite ongoing series.
Okay, it was really good when he was actually conquesting girls, but now at the end, it's all this disillusioned nonsense.
Did you read it after I told you?
The last one I read, they were in this imaginary world sitting together, obviously ending the manga.
Okay, yeah, but get past that.
Well, it's over though. It was over then, and you know it. It's not as good as it used to be, and you know it.
It's amazing. I love it.
No, it's not as good.
It's great.
We're going back to me now, because I'm not good, because we promised that tomorrow, I think, we're going to go through the ridiculous amount of anime that's coming out.
Yeah, and I guarantee you none of them are going to be as good as The World God Only Knows. Alright, look. The World God Only Knows is amazing. The anime was pretty good until Season 3 where they skipped a bunch of the manga, but it was still pretty good.
Hey, that almost ruined it for me.
I really hope Season 4 comes out, because this arc that's ending, which is the last arc, is right after the anime ended. And he's already chosen his girl. So it's a harem where he chooses a girl. I love that.
It was never a harem in the first place.
It was totally a harem. He's got like 20 women after him.
Yeah, but it's different though. It's not.
That's what makes it great. Yeah. That's why I love this anime.
You
manga.
You do love your harem. That's true.
Okay.
Speaking of anime that you currently don't love.
Moving on. Alright. No, that's... Okay. For all of our listeners, for the first time since we started this podcast, we're talking about an anime that I do not hate.
Yeah, it's true.
I loved the Pilot Sub song for a while. Until it, crapped all over itself. But until that happened, it was really good. I think I always watched it before you did. And then I would always hype it up for you, and then you would watch the episode.
It was on my list. Like, I usually go to anna.me, or whatever it's called, a website where they have a bunch of previews. And I picked it up and put it on my list immediately because they said it was one of those animes that you watch and you're like, what's going on? You have no idea about the story, and I love those kind of animes. There's so much premise. There's so much world building that could happen.
You and I both love anime where there's a very large, expansive world that you can explore.
Yeah. When they explore it.
I want to give a bit of backstory on you and me for our listeners here. We're very large, someone might say bulky, grown men, and we love romance.
Yeah.
Myself particularly, I prefer comedic romance, lighthearted. Like, I love Sakurazo, I love Angel Beats, I love World God Only Knows.
Toradora is great.
No. You, on the other hand, love more dramatic kind of romance. Like, you love Anohana, stuff like that. It just makes you tear up.
I love
Kimito Boku, Kimito Kiss, stuff like that.
I love? Oh, that one that I watched recently. Totally blank on the name. It's super old. That one I tried to show you.
Oh, yeah, that I hated.
Yeah.
Did you watch 5 centimeters per second?
Meisani Koku! Oh my goodness, if you guys have seen Meisani Koku, you guys are like my favorite fans ever. Yes, I have seen 5 centimeters per second.
Yeah, so...
the third story, not so good. The first two, pretty good.
So basically, you really like dramatic romance that's very serious. I like my romance very lighthearted and fun.
Yeah, we blend. I think we blend sometimes, but that's pretty much where the line's drawn.
Yeah. And so Pilot Love Song is much more up your alley than it would be mine because it's very heavy on the drama. But at least it starts off quite good. I don't think you got hooked into it like I did in the very first episode.
I didn't get actually hooked at all into it. The only time I got hooked was midway through when, the gorilla moment happened.
Talking about Michan, or are we talking about...
Yeah, well, Michan and everyone else.
Okay.
and everybody else.
Okay.
I don't know.
We'll put up a spoiler warning when we're going to get into spoilers. But to start off with, our main character is... His name is Kal-El Albus. His name is Superman Dumbledore.
Do you think they knew that when they called him that?
You can't not know that. I'm pretty sure they're like, who's the biggest icon in Western world that'll make people watch this anime? Superman. We'll just call him Superman.
You think their product marketing people are that dumb?
Yeah.
What is Superman and Dumbledore?
Because they're both famous. They're famous fictional characters.
That's silly. I don't think that's what they did. I think they just thought Kal-El Albus sounded cool. So, I don't know.
Okay, so Kal-El, he has a sister who's not actually a sister named Ari, I think.
Ariel, yeah.
Yeah, they just call her Ari, and then he's got a dad, he's got two sisters. He's basically adopted in his family. You can tell right away because he looks absolutely nothing like them. And so the story basically revolves around him and his sister trying to become pilots. And pretty much the only way to become a pilot is to kind of join this like military flight school. And it just so happens that this particular school is on a giant floating island that is on its way to what they call the end of the world. And so him and his sister just board this island that's on this journey where they don't really know where it's going to go. And neither does the audience. It's kind of very vague.
There's so much untold at this point. Why are all these children learning to be pilots? Like, what circumstance in the world has caused the, child protection laws to be lifted? Why is there a Laputa-like floating object that everyone just thinks is okay? You know what I mean? No one was explaining anything at that point.
That was the only era of Supernatural until you meet Nina.
Nina Viento!
Nina Viento is kind of the equivalent of the Pope in this world, except she has superpowers where she can control the wind and make tornadoes and stuff. She's basically an airbender. And she's the only one with magical powers like that. So it's kind of weird. It also makes her really OP. But the hook I was talking about earlier is in the very first episode, it's kind of normal. Like, it's just... not much is happening.
I remember this.
Cal and Ari are just like flying to the island in like this grand ceremony for students entering the school. And then he sees Nina and like the entire screen goes blood red and he scowls and he screams her name in rage.
I think you told me that was one of the best depictions of rage that you've ever seen.
That comes later.
Oh, okay.
When we get to learn Kal-El's backstory.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But that was, and then he like goes right back because Ari like snaps him out of it.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, like,
it's
is
not
this guy
explained.
schizophrenic? Is what's going on?
It's not explained for like two or three episodes. It takes a while. So there's also a very, I guess, a split between like rich and poor, like the nobility and the normal people, and typical fiction world fashion. The noble people are very stuck up towards the regular folks.
I think that's also real world.
Yeah, I guess.
I think that's where they based it from.
Maybe, probably. So Kal-El and Ari are pretty much our main characters, but Kal-El meets. I keep calling him that. I mean to call him Kal. I really like Superman, so it's just.
Why not call him Kal-El?
It's just
not his name.
Because it's a fucking stupid name.
Yeah, who has a dash in his name? That's true.
Anyway, Cal. The series goes very Disney in the first episode, where he's just like on a stroll. He meets a girl named Claire.
I love this moment.
No, I don't see this. I don't say this is bad. I think
great.
I really liked it. They have this huge Disney moment where they just meet and they kind of fall in love and they take this bike ride. It was really good.
You're reminding me now why I like this series so much. It's been
amazing.
so while since it actually been good that I actually forgot why I liked it. Like that moment, I remember sitting on the couch just beaming. Have you ever found yourself watching anime by yourself, obviously, because you look stupid otherwise, and you're sitting there and you just have like, the show ends and the OP goes, or the ED ends, and you're like, I'm smiling. Like, I have the fattest, stupidest grin on my face.
Yeah, you know why anime did that for me consistently?
What?
Kuroko.
Yeah, well, that was different. That wasn't like a cheesy, that was like a, what the, yeah!
Kuroko was great. That's over too now. Damn it.
Hey, but it's okay, because we still have Tonari no Seki-kun.
Everything's ending. I'd take Kuroko over any other... I'd rather have Kuroko over any other.
No, I'd rather have a new season of Titan. Thank you very much.
No, I'd rather have Kuroko over Titan. I like it better.
Really?
Yeah. But Titan's the better anime?
That face.
Okay, I think we can spoil it. It's been like a year. Face in the wall.
That face.
Yada, yada, yada. Anyway, where were we? Okay, Claire. So Kal-El meets Claire. They have a very Disney moment. They fall in love. Turns out she's a rich aristocrat. Typical Disney, and then she like has to go behind like there's a specific section of the island that only the rich can access or where they live, and so Kal-El's like he's forced to stop. They won't let him through, and he's just like, if only I had like this piece of paper that said I was rich, then I could go see her more often. Even though this is the first episode where they meet, and like he's just barely known her, although they do get like wet together because he drops them into a lake.
Yeah,
they have that anyway. Very Disney. It was very nice. Totally, complete opposite of that really weird rage moment. And I think that's really where the first episode ends.
Yeah.
It kind of just leaves you with a Disney-like feeling.
The anime does a really good job of keeping secrets from us. And it doesn't hint. Like, the only real hint, because there's a lot of stuff going on in this first episode that if you watch it again, you'll be like, oh. Lots of allusions to Cal's character, who Claire is, all this stuff is all there. But they don't spoil it for you, which is really nice.
It's a lot like Titan. I've rewatched the series a few times. They have a lot of that. And our last main character, along with Cal, Claire, and Ari, is who I like to call the poor man's elf. His name is Ignacio Axis. Now, anybody here who has watched Valkyrie, you've watched Valkyrie.
I watched the first season and I stopped when
Nobody
that girl
has
got
watched
raped.
the second season. Why am I only the
Because
why
the
am I
girl
the only
got
one?
raped.
Okay, but
Rajpreet, the entire premise, it's like that stupid anime where, okay, there's many stupid animes, but the one stupid anime that I remember trying to watch where this guy, if he gets like turned on, he gets superpowers. And then another anime you were watching with that girl and his brother, and she had that garter belt that got fueled up by situations.
Recently,
okay,
my list was unusual. That
I
was
don't
something
watch
else.
anime like that. And so Valvrave, which was at first cool, when it turned into, at first what I thought it was a desire for sex to fuel the robots, I was like, I'm gone. And that rape scene was disgusting.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's supposed to make you feel
you know
bad.
what? It was. And I can feel bad amongst other things, but not when I'm watching anime.
It was a huge character development moment.
Okay, and I left. So he can develop by himself.
Okay, anyway, in where I was getting with this, man, that was a tangent. In Valvrave, there's a... Tell me if this sounds familiar, if any of you watch Pilot's Love Song. There's a guy with white hair who's very, very good at shooting people. Yeah, that's Ignacio. That's LL. That's why I call him the poor man's LL. Because LL is actually a lot smarter than Ignacio. He's also a master tactician. Ignacio's just really good at shooting people. And even then, you don't find that out until like late in the series. Ignacio was actually really interesting at first because you have no idea whose side he's on.
Yeah.
Because he actually reveals Cal's backstory to the audience. He reveals, I don't consider this a spoiler because it's revealed pretty early on, that he's the former crown prince of the country that he lived in, that Kal-El lived in. And his actual name is Carl Lahire. Better name than Kal-El, still a stupid-ass name. But anyway.
Well, Carl is... I'm glad they didn't call him Carl. That's really lame.
I prefer them calling him Cal. It's
Cal
nicer.
sounds way better than Carl.
Sorry to any listeners called Carl.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I doubt we have any listeners called Kal-El. If you do, send me an email.
No, if you do, can you visit? Because I'd like to see Superman in person, actually.
Anyway, so Ignacio's kind of... You don't know where his allegiances lie because he reveals... Not only does he reveal to the audience who Kal-El is, but he also starts spreading rumors around the island that the former prince is still alive, and he what's the word? He boarded the island. What's the word where you board something in secret? Stowed away.
Yeah, stowed away.
He stowed away on the island to murder Nina Viento.
Mm-hmm.
And then people are like kind of freaking out a little bit, but they're like, oh, that's not real. He's dead. Because Kal-El's entire family is kind of dead at this time. Like his real family. And so nobody really believes that he's alive, which is by choice, like Kal-El's choice.
Yeah, because Kal-El has his backstory.
We should just go into that now.
Yeah, might as well. Kal-El lived in the royal family of whatever the place is. Basturio, Bastion, or something. And his parents were the ruling family over a kind of a degenerate society where the rich were getting richer and the poor were getting poorer. And this revolution kicked in, which people began calling the Wind Revolution.
Can you guess why?
Yeah, because Miss Nina Viento comes in, but that's later. And they overthrow and kill the king. And so Kal-El and his mom are now kind of waiting for the people to decide what to do with them. And they get ripped apart, and Kal-El has to watch... No, Kal-El watches his father get assassinated.
He only... I don't know if he watched his father get killed, but he watched his mother getting taken away to get killed.
Yeah.
And the revolution pretty much only worked because the revolutionaries had Nina Viento with him. So any airships that his father used in his army just got killed by tornadoes. Like I said, Nina's really OP. And so Kal is actually forced to bow before her. And this is where I said Kal just looks at her, and the look on his face is one of the greatest depictions of anger and hate I've ever seen in anime. It was great. This is why I really like this series.
It's pretty close to Eren Yeager and how he is depicted as being pretty angry at times. But I think Kal-El was a lot better.
Yeah, it was really good. So that's Kal-El's backstory, and he actually does hate Nina. And he never actually expresses the desire to kill her, like Ignacio said, or spread the rumors of. He just really doesn't like her. Reasonably so. He lost his title and he lost his parents because of her, in a way. So the story is basically, like I said, the island is heading towards the end of the world, and they know that there's a legendary clan called the Sky Clan, which they don't really know exists, and they're supposed to guard like the entrance to the end of the world. And so they aboard this island called Isla, they have basically quite a large army. The entire island is basically an army base, and they warn everybody ahead of time that we're probably going to get into a war with somebody at some point, because even if the Sky Clan's not real, we're bound to run into somebody. And surprise, surprise, it actually happens. And that's where most of the drama comes from the series. Most of the drama isn't romance-based. It's just people dying, kind of like Titan.
Mm-hmm. At this point, as well, Claire and Kal-El's relationship's beginning to bud. After their little experience in the water and the bicycle, which shows up in the ending all the time.
Dude, I want to talk about the ending theme. It's so good.
Yeah,
I really like the ending theme. People don't like it because they say it's too sad. I really like sad endings in terms of music. The opening theme, on the other hand, is the most contrived, cliched garbage of an opening I've seen in anime in a while. It's so bad.
Maybe I watch the openings and the endings like once, but then I usually I memorize when it ends and I skip to it. I'm that kind of person. I know, hate me. Anyways, Claire and Kal-El, they're together, and they partnered up in piloting, because in the ships in the, the airplanes in the show, really it's really weird.
Their airplanes suck.
Yeah.
It's like World War I technology.
But like, it's weird because there are also planes out there that are normal single-seat shooters that actually have machine guns.
But those belong to other countries, so,
I guess so.
You don't know about those yet.
So then they have one person flying and one person sitting in this like open sphere thing with rails. And they shoot things with rifles.
They shoot down other planes with rifles.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, you can't be accurate with those things. I don't know.
Tell that to Ignacio.
I just feel like all you have to do is come up from underneath and they're dead.
Yeah, the technology was really crap. Which is funny because they were like calling out the Sky Clan, like, oh, they're a bunch of brutes, they won't have any technology, and their technology is like far superior.
Yep.
And they just destroy Isla.
Well, moving on like to near the end, when you do actually get a glimpse of the Sky Clan, they looked pretty Star Wars-esque in their...
The way I saw it, Kal-El's home country was very Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
Levon, which you meet later, is very Western Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And Sky Clan looked very North American.
Yeah, very North American. And of course, Japan is nowhere to be seen. And
unlike in the movie, which is kind of weird, which we'll get to later.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll talk about the movie later.
So Claire and Kal-El are enjoying life, that kind of thing. But there's one moment where I think Kal-El stops and looks at a picture.
Yeah, that was a really cool moment. Because Nina's pretty much the Pope, there's like giant portraits of her in a lot of places. And so Claire just stumbles upon Cal glaring at a photo of Nina. Like, he doesn't really have the hate showing on his face, but the look in his eyes is not of a happy man. And she's just kind of looking at him like, what the heck is going on here? And I think that's the episode where they get lost at sea together.
Yeah, probably that thereafter.
Yeah. Basically, during like flight training, they get lost at sea. Or they get lost in their plane, so they land on the ocean, and they're like, well, we'll just wait for rescue, because we don't know where we are. So they like, I think they're sending telegrams or something. Maybe. I can't really remember. But basically, I think Claire and Kel like fall into the water, so then they have to get naked because it's cold. And so they just hang out and talk. And Cal is a goddamn moron, because he keeps giving her hints that he's a prince.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's like, oh, I used to live before the Wind Revolution with my parents. There were nobility. I'm like, really? What is wrong with you? You're supposed to be dead. Don't drop hints for this.
Yeah, well, the thing is, he's probably opening up to the girl that he loves. That's just the way it is. But this scene was ripped straight from the movie.
The movie did it better, too.
The movie did a lot of things better. For those that don't know, we're talking about The Pilot and the Princess, or The Princess and the Pilot.
The Princess and the Pilot, which is actually a prequel to the Pilot's love song. But we'll get to that.
Okay,
we need to save this.
Yeah, but it's just, the parallels are ridiculous in those two.
Yeah.
So, Nina finds out. She just somehow clicks when she...
You mean Claire?
Claire, whatever. Claire. We're going to call her Claire Cruz.
You just gave a spoiler away.
Oh, I did?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
God damn it, Spencer.
Okay, well, anyways.
Okay, so spoiler alert, Claire is Nina Viento.
Well, we find that out just now. We were going to explain it. She sees Cal looking at the picture and goes, you're the prince. And then all of a sudden from there it steamrolls into...
She thinks he's the prince. She's not totally
She isn't
sure.
100% sure, but then we begin seeing the inner life of Claire.
You mean her backstory?
We begin to seeing her kind of her backstory and how the court on the Isla is actually dealing with her.
Yeah,
governance.
She's more of a figurehead than an actual pope, but people are led to believe she has power. You actually find out she doesn't have the power to control wind anymore because you find out through a flashback her upbringing was god-awful. Her family was dirt poor. She was not a noble. She was not born rich. And her mother actually sold her for food, I think.
Yeah.
And then, like, people hated her because she had the power to win, but she couldn't control it. You know, typical superpower stuff. And then she, in her rage, she, like, because people, like, start throwing rocks at her. Yeah, throw rocks at the person who can summon tornadoes. That's a smart thing to do.
It's not a smart thing to
do.
do.
So she summons a tornado and she literally kills everybody in the village.
This is where the anime takes a turn to... It felt like a happy-go-lucky high school in the air kind of thing. But then all of a sudden they started throwing in death. Like really heavy, dark subjects. And it would like merge really well together. And when you found out that Claire was actually Nina, I was shocked.
I was shocked too.
I was like, whoa, what? Like, I didn't even think of it. I didn't think of it either.
Because that's such a great twist on the romance. This is what kept me in the series. Like I said, Spencer and I love romance. And the fact that Cal is in love with a girl that he has hated for the majority of his life is amazing. Yeah. That's such a great plot point. And then they mess it up. Eventually.
So from here, we have a couple more battles. We get to know some of the other characters.
Our actual cast is very large. I'd say 10, 15 characters. Yeah. It's pretty big.
They all get screen time. They all have an individual voice.
And I don't know any of them.
Well,
except for Wolfgang. I know Wolfgang.
Wolfgang.
Because he looks like a Fullmetal Alchemist character.
And Mitchan, of course. Mitchan, of course.
Okay.
Are we at that part yet?
Let's... Spoiler warning if you want to talk about that.
Well, my question is, why are we spoiler? We didn't put any spoilers on Samurai Flamenco or Log Horizon.
We put a spoiler on Samurai Flamenco.
At the beginning.
No, before Gorilla Moment.
Oh, we did?
And we said anything past this is all spoilers.
Oh, okay, I guess so.
Come on, we're more responsible than that.
Yeah, but we'll put the spoiler on the tag. People will just listen to it because they've already watched it. No one's going to listen to a review on PLS if they haven't watched it yet. Come on.
All right, listen. I do that sometimes.
Okay, well that's your fault, man.
I like listening to reviews.
Sorry for anybody that I made feel like a loser or something.
It's okay, I understand you. The one guy out there who's like me, I understand you.
Maybe we'll do some edits.
So, okay. It was kind of predictable that the anime was going to go the heavy-handed, everybody's going to die route. If you watch you've seen the opening once. Like the last 10 seconds of the opening is like all people dying.
Well, the beginning of the anime was people dying. The beginning of the anime was Cal going, "Oh, I don't want any more people to die."
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Blah blah blah. Right? That was totally allusion to the battle where you first meet the movie character. That was like
I hate fast forwards like that.
Yeah.
The only one that did it right was Gurren Lagann. Because it was the alternate ending,
and it was not the same.
So yeah, it's alternate.
So you didn't even. You're like, wait, what? What didn't even happen?
Yeah, when we watched it, like, what? This never happened. He never had a fleet. Anyway, where were we?
I don't remember.
I kind of lost where we were. Okay, we said Claire's Nina. We revealed that.
Right. We were talking about the different relationships between all the characters. Each character was very clearly getting paired off. There were girls and guys, and each one had their counterpart. Mm-hmm. They even looked the same, pretty much. A lot of them.
Some of them, like Benji, looked like whatever the girl's name was, Sharon.
Yeah, or something like that. They had very similar characteristics. They would have moments where they would all make ramen together because Ari had this really amazing ramen recipe. Ariel had this really amazing ramen recipe.
She's not a mermaid.
That's her name though, Ariel.
Where they call her Ari.
Fine. Ari is good at making ramen, and so she gets everyone together, makes a lot of money for the door. Why are they making money again?
They never explain it. They just need money for some reason. It
was kind of like a filler / thing, but this is where the first major death flag is raised.
It was a prelude, basically, for one of the main characters to die. I'm going to use air quotes for the word main. Anyway, huge death flags in this anime. Huge, obvious death flags. Like when a main character is suddenly getting praised, and he's never gotten praised before for anything, and then like, it's Mitsuo. Spoiler warning right here, right now. We're going to talk about a lot of people dying.
Anything after this is going to spoil the entire anime for you. So if you haven't watched it, watch it and then come back. Because I think we're just going to go all bars hold at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot we need to talk about. So Mitsuo is actually he's kind of a pudgy guy, and he gets made fun of for being pudgy. But then everybody's like, no, Mitsuo is a great guy. He's good at this and this. And then he like goes outside and he like holds hands with the girl he likes, who's also like his co-pilot. And as soon as he held hands with her, I was talking to Spencer like, yeah, he's dead.
On the swings, no less.
Yeah, it was like he said it for himself. He's gone
during a sunset.
And it didn't help. I watched previews for the like next episodes. I love watching previews. Spencer generally doesn't. And Spencer's like, he might survive. I was like, Spencer, the next episode's called A Glorious Death. And then Spencer's like, alright, he's dead.
I believed. Mit-chan.
And actually, he does have a glorious death. He has the best death in the show.
He does.
He's so cool.
Well, that's because... Never mind. That's because later people just die.
That's true.
Like, oh, okay.
So,
whatever.
Mitsuo during a battle with the Sky Clan, his plane gets shot up, and planes just don't explode right away in this anime. They catch on fire. So he gets his co-pilot to jump out. He's like, I'll be right behind you. He doesn't do that. He's like, I gotta show the girl that I look cool.
Yeah, the co-pilot, because I was talking about all the characters had paired off. Most of the characters were paired off in the same ship with the girl that they liked. So Mitsuo was with the girl that he liked.
Chiharu, I think her name was?
Or something like that.
Yeah, it's Chiharu.
And she fell off. And he's like, I'll be right there. Nope. And
then you cut to Mitsuo after he gets shot up. His plane's on fire. His body's engulfed in flames. And he's just like, I hope I did good. And then his plane explodes. I was like, that was such an awesome death.
Yeah, and I held out the hope that he would live. But the reason that both of them were there was because in this moment, this was the first big battle between the Sky Clan and the Isla's army. And they had actually sent the kids up to go fight. And so they're going, but then the enemy came out of nowhere, and Mitsuo had discovered them.
Oh, right.
And he's like, crap, what do I do? Because he's got to let everyone know where they are. So he shot out a flare, illuminated the entire enemy, but totally drew attention to himself, and he died. And that's why he died. And so everyone came out okay. Oh, was this the same battle that everyone else died too? Yeah.
No,
wasn't it?
It was just Mitsuo. He was the first, and then everybody else.
Oh, okay. I thought everyone just died in that moment. When does there's a character named Fausto who looks exactly like Cal, pretty much, and he's like the
more or less, yeah.
arrogant, foolish.
He's a typical like snobby rich guy.
Yeah.
But he redeems himself because he's actually a good person. Like when Isla's in danger, he's like, and like there was nobody to lead the students. He's like, I'll lead the students. We'll protect this. We won't let our friends die. And then he dies in battle. And I felt for him. Like
yeah.
I was like, poor guy. Like he really wanted to protect these people.
The anime launched into a bunch of successive battles at this point. After Mitsuo's death, there's a huge thing where I don't remember, Chiharu or whatever her name is. She goes really emotional, and everyone's like, "What the heck's going on?" They don't want to die anymore. I personally think Fausto died in that moment.
I don't know. I can't.
Well, it doesn't really matter. At
okay,
one point,
but
yeah.
We gotta talk about Wolfgang here. Wolfgang, like I said, he's really cool. He looks like a character out of Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
He, like, when everybody else takes rifles in the plane, he takes a goddamn heavy machine gun.
Yeah, he does.
And then he dies, like, instantly.
Oh, this is ridiculous. Like, they're flying through, they're shooting and stuff, and Kal-El is with, Ariel. Ari.
Yeah, he was with Ari.
And they were flying along, and all of a sudden, planes come out of nowhere, and Fausto just dies. Straight up gets his whole plane lit up, and he's just dead.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely dead. And I was like, what? And then Wolfgang just dead.
At least Wolfgang killed a couple.
And then people are just dying, left, right, and center. Like, all these characters you thought were the main characters, they're just dying.
Ari gets shot up in the arm, too.
Yeah, and I thought she died.
That was actually a really sad
moment. I thought she was dead, actually.
Because
it made me believe it.
Cal just pleads with her to come back and not to leave him alone. You see he and Ari have a very brother-sister relationship despite him being adopted. They always argue, but they do love each other, you can tell. And they always argue about who's the eldest and who's the youngest because they're very close in age. And Cal is just like pleading with her like, I need you in my life. I don't know what to do without you. And he thinks she's bleeding out and dying. And he's just like, I need you to wake up. I'll be your younger brother. I'll be whatever you want as long as you come back to me. And she's just like, she gets up and she shoots a plane down and she just says, shut up and get me home.
Yeah.
And it's such a great moment. And like at the end of the episode, she's in the hospital and like Cal gets like, he sits in the hospital bed with her because she doesn't want to be alone. And she like rests her head on his shoulder. And she just says, you're the older brother. You're the older one.
She totally.
I was hoping so much that this did not go the Oni-chan route.
Well, Like we talked about at the beginning, in our earlier podcast, is that's just the way things are in these anime.
God damn you, Orimo! Why have you done this to me?
Because people just seem to like it when a sibling... Yeah, but the thing is, this was okay, because technically they aren't siblings.
But they're never technically siblings. One is always adopted. Otherwise, they wouldn't let it air. That's why I said it's always pseudo-incestual. It's so goddamn annoying. I'm tired of it. Why can't a brother and a sister just be that?
Because then you get, like... a boring anime.
But the nice thing is, Ignacio offset it because Ignacio's like forced to be paired up with Ari, and she's slowly turning him into like someone who starts caring about people.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, you don't know whose side he's on. You find out that he's actually Claire's bodyguard. He's the bodyguard Nina Biento. And it's very confusing because sometimes he screws Cal over, and other times he'll help him out. And you just find out is he just does something because Claire would be sad if Cal died or whatever. So that's why Ignacio helps him out. But he's a loner. When he's not with Claire and he's not helping her, he's just like off to the side watching her, protecting her.
He's a Soon.
He's totally a Soon. Ari calls him out on it.
Yeah.
But Ari's like, she gets him to participate with the others. She gets him to kind of be friends with everybody. And he falls for her. He totally falls for her. But they never show it. They just hint at it. And that's something I like. Subtle romance is great.
Yeah. On the way back, when Ari was shot up and Cal was trying to get back home, and it was against all odds. Like, people were shooting at him. The way things were going, he was going to die too. It just... whatever. All of a sudden, a blue plane.
Okay, you were talking about
came out of nowhere, and I was like, "Oh, sweet, a blue plane!" Like it was like a
what the heck was that?
I don't know. It's just a blue plane, you know. And then anyway, it's like Cartman, I guess, and whatever. But the blue plane comes down and just runs the show, and I'm like, "Oh, cool, it's a blue plane." And it goes pew pew pew, and it flies away. And then he's like, "Whoa, it's a blue plane with a seagull on the side. How cool is that?" And then he
wrecks. All of the Sky Clan. He just destroys them all.
This is cool backflip thing, and I'm like, whoa, that's cool. And we don't see him anymore. And then at the end of this episode, we find out that plane was from this Lavam society. Or
basically, England.
England, who had sent out a goodwill notice saying, hey, we're on the same team. We don't like the Sky Clan either. Let's team up. And the episode ends, and...
Oh, you should know who it was signed by.
Yeah, it was signed by, I don't remember what her name is actually at this point.
Empress Fauna.
Yeah, Empress Fauna. But the thing is, the episode doesn't zoom in on it. The series doesn't say, hey, look, it's Fauna. It's just there.
But if you're just watching the series vanilla, you won't know what that means. It means nothing to you. And to us, it was the same way.
It meant nothing.
I think this is where we went and watched the movie.
Well, then what happened was... when did it usually come out? Saturdays? Mondays?
Mondays. They came out
so
Mondays.
Monday happened, and then on Wednesday I was at university, and we just ended up chatting with one of my friends about PLS, and he's like, you know what? There was a movie that came out, Pilot's Love Song. Oh no, sorry, not Pilot's Love Song.
Princess and the Pilot.
Princess and the Pilot that came out, and there are a lot of parallels to draw between the worlds. He's like, it may actually be in the same universe. And then Rajpreet, I was like, Rajpreet, there's a movie that has to, because we were super pumped about this anime at this point.
Yeah, we were totally on board.
And we were like, dude, there's a movie that came out, and it's set in the same universe maybe, and Rajpreet's like, I just did research, it's written by the same guy. And I'm like, this is happening. So we watched this movie. The movie, we could do an entire podcast about how good that movie was.
The movie was amazing.
It was so good. The art was way more mature than PLS. The dogfight seemed way more realistic. The love story was way better. I like the bittersweet ending.
Okay, I hate the bittersweet ending because but it's supposed to make me feel this way. That's why I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I don't think the love story's better, but I think it's better executed.
Well, the love story in PLS didn't even end.
It did. In a way. We'll get to that.
That's the rage.
But yeah, the movie was really good. The action
really
was so much better. The main character in the movie, Charles, don't know his last name, he's so much cooler than Kal-El.
So much cooler.
After we finished the movie, I just turned to Spencer and was like, so can Charles be our main character now? Because I'm kind of done with Cal after this.
And that's the funny thing, because then we realized, oh my goodness, Charles was in that blue plane.
Yeah, and they never show him!
No, and the princess, the princess who had gone... that Charles had transported was now the ruler of Lavam sending in envoys, but she was never the one to even show face. They never showed either character.
They mention her by name multiple times.
Yeah,
and they even tell Nina, hey, you should go visit Fauna.
You're kind of like Fauna. And we're like, oh, that'd be cool to me. No!
They never show us
No, it's
Fauna.
just like, if you're going to put that juicy of a cameo inside of this anime, why not make it so that we can actually experience it?
We are bigger Princess and the Pilot fans than we are Pilot's Love Song fans at this point.
Fact.
But basically the movie is about Charles taking Fauna, who's a princess at this point, to the Lavam Empire through basically Japan. They're at war with Japan. And so he's trying to like sneak her past him so she can rule the empire. And he succeeds because, it's signed Empress Fauna.
So that leaves PLS in the little bit of a future, only a couple years probably, and then Charles...
I'd say between 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, Charles and Fauna are there. So now we're at a point where everyone is kind of revolting. The kids in that fight... Oh, never mind. After all of like the Wolfgang and Fausto died, the instructors of the kid pilots were just freaking out. They're like, this is stupid. Why are they sending the kids in to just die?
But before that... At this point, Claire's done. She's done being a pilot. She blames herself for all these deaths because she tried using her wind powers and failed. And she couldn't save her friends, and she's just done. Yeah. She quits being a pilot. She doesn't want anything to do with anything.
So Claire's hiding. Cal doesn't know why.
We need to talk about why she can't use her powers anymore. I forgot to mention that. In her backstory, in the flashback I talked about earlier, she actually felt tremendous guilt when she saw Kal-El's face of pure hatred when they were kids. And she's like, I just took everything away from this kid and his life will never be the same and he'll probably die. And she was so riddled with guilt that she lost her powers.
Well, we didn't actually know at that point. I didn't know why she lost her powers. I just thought it happened. The anime doesn't specifically clearly say that the guilt is the reason. When it fixes it...
It's heavily implied, though.
I guess so. I guess I just didn't clue in on that. But anyways, guilt was the reason she can't do it, and so all this guilt probably isn't helping. So she's hiding. Cal doesn't know what's happening. All the students are abandoning ship because the Sky Clan actually raided Isla at this point.
They landed on
bombs,
Isla,
landing.
Yeah.
There's foot soldiers, which means the poor man's Elf is being boss again. And
he's shooting people up.
It's crazy. He's just like... He's really good marksman. That's just what he is. But all of the student pilots at this point, who you don't know. Apparently there's like 100 of these student pilots.
There's a ton of them.
But you only see 14, and 10 of them have already died. So you only see like 4 main characters now, and there's 100 of these pilots who do nothing. When all the guys come, they just run away in a shuttle and hide on Isla. And the only ones who go up in the air at this point are Kal-El,
Ignacio,
Noripi, and
Benji.
Those 4.
Holy crap! I should remember their names.
Are we? I think our timelines are okay at this point.
Yeah, we're more or less all right.
I had this feeling that Fausto. No, they raided a couple times. Anyway, so this time they go up, and I believe Fausto. Oh no, I believe Ignacio actually jumps in the plane with Kal-El because Ari can't go up anymore.
Yeah, she can't. After that shot. The gunshot wound, she can't be a pilot anymore, so she drops out, much to Ignacio's displeasure.
Yeah, because she's actually... oh, wait a minute.
We skipped over something enormous.
Yeah,
how the hell did we miss that?
I don't even know.
Okay,
you go.
Before all of this, after Mitsuo's death, and Fausto's and Wolfgang's and all the other people, they hold a funeral, like everybody except for Claire shows up. Claire shows up later because she doesn't want to see anybody's face because she blames herself for everybody's deaths. And then Kal-El finds her, and he confronts her, and then she's like, I'm giving up being a pilot. They have this huge, really sad scene where she's just like, I'm done. I can't be with you anymore. We're gone. I'm gone. And then she tries to run away, and Kal-El grabs her, and he's like, I need you because I'm in love with you. And they share this kiss. And I put my hands in the air, and I cheered. I was like, yes, Cal got the girl. Come on, man, you can do this. And then she's like, I love you too. And that's why I need to know if you are Kal-El Albus. And then he's like, how the hell did you know that?
Yeah.
He's like, but then that would mean you're... And then he just, the tone completely changes.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
This huge tone shift. Wind starts blowing and gets a zoom in on, Claire's face. And you could see her, she's, kind of scared. And Cal just screams the name, Nina Biento. And then she just, kind of cries and says, I'm sorry, and she runs. And Cal just, drops to his knees because his world just crumbled. Yeah. The girl he's in love with is a girl he's hated for a decade.
And the following episode is now Kal-El being completely antisocial.
Which I loved. Because when Ari opened the door to his room, he won't come out of his room. And so she opened the door, and he just says, leave me alone. And the look on his face is identical to the look he had when he was a kid, when he first saw Nina.
This was a sad moment, though, because when he said, leave me alone... Ari just she was just trying to help. She was leaving food outside the door. But then she's like, I just want you to know that I can't pilot anymore.
She says that after.
It's just afterwards?
That's after. Because this is when, she just comes back from the hospital.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And all the friends that are still alive, the other pilots, are like, so what's wrong with Cal? She's like, he's the same as he was, 10 years ago. He looks like he hates everything in the world. And I love that. This series was so good at this point. And so, like you said, she went up later and she told him, I might as well tell you first, Cal, that I can't be a pilot anymore because of my arm. I'm just going to be an engineer. I'm quitting pilot school. And Cal is listening to this, and he doesn't want to hear it. He puts his pillow over his head. He's just like, I can't take this right now. My world is a complete garbage dump right now.
Yeah, and
Ignacio is sorry to tread on your toes,
Spencer. Okay. We're talking about the same stuff.
Yeah, Ignacio's like climbing up the stairs as he hears this, and when she says, I'm quitting pilot school, she's his partner. And I had suspected that he was falling in love with her. He just very slightly pauses. Yeah. And you don't see his face, you just see his shoes, but you can tell that hit him hard.
Yeah, he was actually getting a human relationship with something that wasn't like a bodyguard protector kind of relationship. He was actually Ari's likable, man.
Yeah, Ari's a great person.
Yeah, so anyway, Ignacio snaps. And he doesn't really snap, like he's super calm about it, but he's
pissed.
Wrecks Cal so badly.
He goes next to Ari and he says, whatever I do now, don't stop me. He kicks open Kal-El's door, grabs him, says, I'm borrowing this idiot, and just throws him into the ocean, or the lake.
After punching him in the face a bunch of times.
And he just starts beating the crap at him, and then the episode ends.
Felt so good. Yeah, I was like, what?
Like, you and I were totally in the series right now, and we're like, what the heck? What? You don't end an episode in the middle of a beating. What is this, Dragon Ball Z?
So now we fast forward to what we were talking about earlier, where they're deciding not to run. The four people, there's Noripi and Benji and Cal and Ignacio. All four of them have decided, yep, we're going to go up. So they fly up. I think Benji and Noripi fly out first.
Yeah.
And Ignacio joins later. So what's happening is they're having a huge confrontation with the enemy's battleship. It's this crazy... this is where we begin to see some more of the technical, very militant kind of style that this anime has. They're trying to shoot down the ship, but they have no idea where the ship is. So they're trying to aim the projectiles and all this physics stuff in order to shoot their missiles right on the ship. But their observatory plane got shot down. So they're pretty much blind, and they're going to die. And so Noripi's freaking out, because he's one of those like pansy guys who always likes running away. And Benji and him have this really clever exchange where Benji's like, you can run away after, but we need to do this. And Noripi's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And he charges right in, and him and Benji begin to try to dodge these guys and give note of where the enemy ship is.
Benji also got a major death flag right before this, where Sharon, she leads him outside. She's like, I need to talk to you before you leave. And I was like, oh no, Sharon, don't do this. If you do this, he's not coming back. And she kisses him. She's like, you need to come back to him. I'm like, all right, he's dead. And then she takes off her scarf, and then she wraps it around him, like, you need to bring this back. I was like, okay, that might have just saved his life.
Yeah.
Giving him that might have just saved his life.
So they're flying, and they're about to get destroyed by a couple guys, and out of nowhere comes Ignacio, the amazing, can't hit an enemy sharpshooter, and Cal, and they're doing great together. They're actually flying really well.
They make a good team.
Yeah, so they're going about, they managed to finally lock down the battle position of the enemy ship. They tell them the coordinates, and as they're trying to fly away, that's Benji and Noripi, because Ignacio and Cal are doing their own thing, shooting stuff. The ship explodes, and both of them get, wrecked in the ship, in their airplane, just destroyed. And they have to abandon ship, and you notice that Benji has lost the hand.
Yeah, his hand gets blown off.
And so he uses the scarf that she gave him to actually save his life.
Yeah, he, ties his arm up so he doesn't lose any more blood. He's like, I'm coming back, Sharon, I'm coming back.
What a boss.
That was pretty badass. Pretty
awesome. So they're floating down pretty much unconscious, but then they just kind of wave goodbye and think, I'm like, wait, what? They're going to die? I was like, no, but what? No! And so they float away. You don't even hear about them for an episode later, or the end of this episode. So Cal and Ignacio just clean up shop, but it's getting intense. It's getting way too much for them to handle, and the enemy is fast approaching the ship, the main battleship that Isla has. So they fly pretty close to it, trying to help, because they got sideswiped, right?
Oh, is this episode?
And Nina is she's already pretty torn. She's like, I'm going to die, aren't I? To the Admiral, who you're going to talk about later.
Oh, this Admiral.
So the Admiral is like, yeah, we're going to die. Yeah. And then I'm like, what?
The Admiral is like, if you have anything you need to say to Cal or whatever, just do it now.
So Claire wanders out into the bow of the ship, and starts waving around and just to say hi to Cal. And Cal gets this moment where she's getting a bunch of past flashbacks from what his mom said about don't hate anybody, what
Such
Harry
a goddamn
said,
moron.
all that stuff. So anyways, he flies up to her after seeing her almost die, and he's like, no. So he flies in, does this awesome, pretty much Princess and the Pilot move.
Yeah, he totally copied it from him.
And so he goes right up, and he says, live on or something like that.
Yeah, he's like, live, I don't want you to die.
Yeah, like, I want you to live on. And she goes, boom. Because that pretty much means he forgave her.
Yeah.
And so she goes, and she like, those are my sound effects, man. We don't have that. We don't have a budget, okay? I would put sound effects in, but I don't have a budget for that.
I think the podcast would be worse if we had sound effects.
That's fair enough.
It'd be like a radio show.
A laugh track would be cool. Anyways.
She gets the power to summon the wind again.
Again, which is just...
Totally called it, by the way.
Yeah, he did. At the beginning, he's like, you know what I bet? I bet that Nina will get her power back if she's forgiven.
Why do I sound like that?
And I was like, nah, man, that's too easy.
And then she's like, let us sing a love song. And like, she basically uses the power of love to summon tornadoes.
And absolutely just destroys the Sky Clan and makes the ship that was sinking float. It was just epic.
It was pretty cool.
It was really good. So they end up back on Isla. There's all the aftermath. Cal and Claire are now, on good terms again. But we have a notice from the ever-present envoy of Lavam, who's always there now.
Pretty much.
He's just always there, chatting about how, Fauna's nice and no one's going to get to see her. But apparently the Sky Clan had taken note of Nina and her superpowers.
They have a prophecy that a girl who can bend wind will come on a floating island that will lead the Sky Clan to, like, new prosperity.
Way too specific, in my opinion. That seemed a little too contrived.
I'll get to the Sky Clan. Just you wait till the end of this podcast.
Oh, my goodness. So anyways, she's like, so they're like, come, and we'll let you through the fountain, the big middle part of the world.
Basically, they'll hold a truce if they give them Nina.
So there's this big thing, and Cal's like, no, we'll run away, and it'll be good, and all this stuff, and then they hug, and there's actually this is where we started noticing that the animation
This
was
is the episode
horrible.
where Pilot's Love Song went to absolute shit.
Yeah, it was really bad. They use this for like 30 seconds. They use this really crappy spin camera on when they were like saying goodbye, and it was like spin, and their faces were getting weirdly animated. It was just like, what the heck happened with their budget? We know what happened with their budget. But we'll talk about that later. It was bad. And then so Claire's like, no, I can't leave, or I can't go with you. So she goes, okay. And there's this final ending scene where Cal...
This was, okay.
Yeah.
Before we get to this was really dumb. Because Cal's like, I need to... He doesn't even say it. Like, he wants to continue going with Isla. But he never tells her that. He's just like, I don't want you to go. That's all he says. Yeah. And she's like, I need to go to protect you all. It makes sense. I was like, Cal, why don't you just tell her you'll come back for her? Like, really, just say, listen, once the mission's done, I'll come and get you. We'll live happily ever after. Life will be good. He doesn't say that. Like, until, like, way later. Until she's about to leave. He's like, I'll come back for you. And
you have to do that for
And then she gets, like, super happy. It's like, why the hell didn't you say that 20 minutes ago when you were alone? And you could have kissed her.
Dramatic, man. It's all about dramatics.
I say he's a goddamn idiot.
I took a first-year course on that. Dramatics.
Great.
Yeah, Aristotle.
Yeah, that'll get you a job.
It's not my degree. Sorry about those who have a drama degree.
Do you really think anybody with a drama degree is going to listen to this? What are the chances? If you have a drama degree, please email me at jamesandbrownpodcast@gmail.com.
That'd be really nice, actually, to get our first email.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
So anyways, they're on the ship, they're saying goodbye, he says that thing, she gets really happy, and Ignacio goes, yeah, I'm leaving too. So he climbs up.
Oh, we need to talk about him. They reveal his backstory, and they reveal whose side, like I already said, he's on Claire's side, but it's also revealed that he hates Kal-El's guts.
We kind of knew that.
Well, yeah, but you learn why.
Yeah.
It's because Kal-El's dad, I had already predicted that Kal-El's dad was kind of a prick, and turns out I was right, because he cheated on Kal-El's mother and banged Ignacio's mother, then gave birth to Ignacio, and he's like, well, I can't just leave the kid, so like he employed them in his castle.
But then he kicked them out.
And then he kicked him out later, and then his mom turned into a prostitute.
It was really sad, actually.
It was, I mean, I understood where his hate came from. It made sense. And he's just like, I hate Kal-El because he gets everything and I get nothing.
You know, in a psychological point of view, it makes sense, but a realistic point of view...
He should hate the dad and not Kal-El.
Exactly. I mean, like...
It's just because he was jealous.
I guess so. But anyways, they were kind of fixing that. And then as the plane's flying away, he goes, Baka Anaki. And then we're like...
He says, I won't let anybody leave a finger or put a finger on Claire. I'll wait for you to come and get her. And they calls him Baka Ani because he's technically the younger brother of Kal-El.
And it's kind of... I like that. I don't know why you got so mad at that part.
Oh, you'll learn. You'll learn soon.
So, this is where the story hits fast forward. We jump like 6 months in the future or something like that. And they're now at the end of Sky. And it's this
end of the world.
End of the world, end of sky, whatever. They call it end of sky, end of sea? I don't know. Something end of sky. So they're there, this giant rainbow thing. and they're like flying the ship. They have Lavam's battleships had held all the people, so they had evacuated off of their giant main island.
It should be noted that Cal is holding Clear's pendant that gave her the power of the wind. So
they're all flying. Pretty much all the remaining students who we actually care about are flying around the ship, kind of escorting it to the end of sky.
Not really escorting it. They just have video cameras. So
right. It's like in those little hub things with the rails. They're now recording, and Ari looks totally like a photographer person with what she was dressed like. Cal's like, "What are you dressed like?" I didn't really understand that part. Was she dressed like
engineer? That was her engineering uniform.
Right. She just didn't want to dress like a pilot anymore.
No, because she was working right before they got on the plane.
Right, because she was tuning all the engines.
Yeah, the end of the world, by the way, is just a giant wall of rainbows, and you're like, okay, like you just kind of accept it.
And I don't know what was happening. Like it jumped 6 months in the future.
Yeah,
and I was like, and I hate it when this happens. I could name a million anime that have ruined our experience of this of the anime through a horrible ending.
Name 5 right now.
There's Gosek. Gosek was a horrible ending. There's Number 9.
Oh God, Number 9.
Number 9 was horrible.
Was it Number 6? It was Number something.
Okay, Number something. Number 6 probably. Number 9. I don't know. It was Gosek, Number 6. There was also there's another. Yakitako Japan.
Yakitake Japan.
That
had bad ending.
They rushed ended it. They just killed it. It was absolutely destroyed. Oh man, you're gonna put me on the spot here.
That's 3. You got 2 more, man. You got 2 more.
I don't remember. Whatever.
You got me. Full of crap.
Fine. Well, I know I could. If I wrote a list, I could. But there's tons, and you guys know them too. There's anime out there that get ruined by the rushed ending because they ran out of budget. And you know why they ran out of budget?
So when Isla finally gets to the end of the world sky, whatever, it blows up. So we have a very long. By explosion scene terms, it's pretty long. A very lengthy CGI watching Isla explode because it collided with a rainbow scene.
And you know what? The graphics are really good on this. I feel
really? I thought it was subpar.
Oh, really? The CGI? You didn't think it was good?
Pretty sure PS2 looked better than that.
Oh, okay. What? Why are you comparing things to a PlayStation 2?
It was like PlayStation 2. Like what? When did that come out?
Are you talking about PlayStation 2, like Final Fantasy CGI?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's not very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've been watching me play through Final Fantasy X. The CGI in that looked better.
Yeah, it did. You're right.
Yeah, so they used their budget to make the planet explode, the island explode. That's stupid.
Yeah, the island exploded, and they're like, oh, sad, because, they did all the things where they saw the dorm room, and they saw, like, the grave. But you know what?
That was the only sad part, where the grave explode.
Because then everyone was just dead. But the problem was, at this point, you had become so disattached with what PLS had used to be, that you don't remember that stuff anymore. Like, the high school feel of it, really, I know they weren't trying to maybe make that happen, but it just went away. And you didn't really care about their high school because you never really had any good moments except that ramen scene. And like,
I didn't even like that ramen scene.
I don't know. I was, for some reason, maybe it was because I was busy with university or something, I became super disattached with this anime after the scene where the blue pilot first came in.
I was still on board until the last 2 episodes. The last 2 episodes completely ruined the series for me.
So the final episode, they jump again. And all of a sudden, they're back at home.
Bastor was something.
Yeah.
Wherever Kal-El's home is.
Yeah.
Okay, so
this was a good scene. The animation got back on track on this one.
The animation got better, yes. I hated this speech, but we'll get to that.
I like this.
Before this, before they land, Kal-El reveals himself to be Kal-El to like the people in charge of Isla, and he's like, "I want to get Claire back." And they're like, "All right, how are you going to do that?" He's like, "Leave it to me." So they get back. The Admiral gives some kind of speech, and he's like, I want to introduce you to Kal-El Albus. Or, no, they give him his real name. Carl Lahir.
Yeah.
And so he shows up, and people are like, Carl's dead, he's not supposed to be alive, yada, yada, yada. And he gives this giant... It was very South Park-esque, where, you know how the end of South Park is like, I learned something today. That's kind of what this was. That's how I just saw this speech. And the whole time he's just like, I learned to love instead of hating because my mommy told me so. I wanted to kill... Okay, in this speech, he said he boarded Isla to kill Nina... Instead of becoming a pilot, he didn't. None of his motivation said that.
No.
His motivation showed he hated Nina. He would never proactively or did anything related to trying to hurt her.
He never did.
Nothing.
There was never a scene where he was sneaking around with a knife, getting ready to kill her, or anything.
He never plotted. He never did anything. Where the hell did that come from?
I don't know. It wasn't even revealed in any of the plot. Now that I realize
it was so dumb.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, he gives a speech and he's like, "I'm in love with Nina Biento, Claire Cruz. I want to go rescue her." And people are like, people, he loves her now. Oh, the drama. We should go rescue her. Like, they literally...
Oh, the crowd did a 180, man. The crowd was like, yeah. Everyone was on board.
Yeah, as soon as he said he was in love with her, like, yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Nobody wasn't on board except one person who, major spoiler, at the end, apparently, that girl, what's her face?
You talking about Ari?
No, the,
Oh, the R.A. Shizuka.
Isn't it this girl? Oh, yeah, it is Shizuka. Anyways, so, the aftermath, the fallout of his speech, we fast forward again, and there's an interchange between the Admiral and the big blonde mustache captain guy, and they're like, "Did you know about this?" And they're like, "Yeah, I did, but you wouldn't, believe me or let me do it if I told you."
They suddenly just start dropping plot points that they will not cover. They're basically like saying, "Hey, do you want us to have a second season? Well, we're going to try to make you want us to have a second season."
Yeah,
because they have plans to overthrow the Revolution Army. Shizuka, who's the RA, is actually part of the Sky Clan, and she's a spy on Isla. And she's like, we need to stop Kal-El from getting Claire back.
Are you sure the Sky Clan could have been another nation?
And they haven't introduced any other nations.
Well, there was that Japanese nation.
Which they haven't introduced.
Yeah, so it could have been that one.
Whatever.
She looked pretty Japanese.
I don't care.
Okay.
Was there any other thing? Oh, saving Claire, because they don't do that. The anime actually ends with Kal-El like going into battle with Charles, even though they don't show it's Charles, they just show his plane. And Charles saves his life again. And... Charles just like shows Cal up constantly.
Yeah, but Cal gets a really sweet moment in this one. Okay, so pretty much, I'm gonna go take a couple steps back.
Go ahead.
We fast forwarded a ridiculous amount. There was Nina going away. There was 6 months later. There was Isla being destroyed. Probably another year later, because it takes a long time to get back.
Yeah.
They're now doing the speech, and what happened then is Cal goes back and meets his family again. His sister had a baby and has.
That was kind of nice.
It was really nice. But then there was this really emotional, sweet moment between Cal and actually, you know what? Thinking about it now, it actually gave me a little bit of shivers because I'm realizing it was actually really sad because Ari, we knew it. Ari, everyone knew it that she
was in love with
Cal, and she just kind of gave up on it. And she had this really
she had to.
She had this really good banter with him about him having to come back, and I'm the little brother. No, I'm the younger sister. No, I'm whatever. They're arguing about who's older. But then when he flew away, she was like, I guess some love songs can't be sung. And it was like, oh, that title.
I didn't really care for that.
It was great,
It's just because I don't want the Oni-chan shit. I'm so sick of it.
It's not.
But the thing is, it was nice. Okay, the scene I liked about between those two before he left was, because Khaled's family, his adopted family, is very poor. And so they all sleep in the same room, like, all together. And so he and Ari always slept side by side because they were the youngest. And when he's sleeping, she just kind of, like, touches his face, like, really sadly. Like, I can never be with you.
Yeah.
That I preferred. It had no dialogue. Well, I think it had a little bit of dialogue, internal dialogue for Ari. But I like that so much better than her saying, oh, love songs can't be sung, yada, yada, yada.
That was nice.
It wasn't bad.
I liked it.
It wasn't bad. It just didn't do anything for me.
It was a good ending. You know what? The problem... Okay, let's just finish and then we'll talk about the problems with PLS.
Oh.
The anime finishes with a really awesome battle between a totally remade battleship, and they're flying out with the help of the Lavam army against...
Sky Clan.
Are you sure it's a Sky Clan?
90% sure it's a Sky Clan.
But I thought they had a truce because Nina was there.
That was only to let them pass and then come back.
Oh, are you sure it's not another... Whatever. Anyways,
they don't want them to take Nina back.
There's this huge... I'm talking like this... The scale of this universe is pretty big, but this thing's huge. Like, there's this giant, huge, tall battleship thing. It's like a huge tower, isn't it? It's like massive.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
And Cal gets in this dogfight with this silver airplane that he had fought before and just totally destroys it and wins. And he's like, oh, I'm going to do this. And you're like, rah, 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 let's go. And then it ends. Like, the battle's going on and all that stuff. But then it, like, pretty much there has to be a sequel. Because there's so much that has to happen. They have to rescue Nina. There's this epic battle going on. Their technology is increasing. I had so many hopes that the world would be bigger than what it actually did in this anime. I was hoping it would be bigger. I was hoping there'd be days of travel, adventure. Maybe I was hoping for more of a shonen style, but for what was it, 12 core or 24 core? What was it?
Talking about?
Like, was it 12 episodes or 24 episodes? It was
13 episodes.
Yeah, so it was a 13-episode season, right? Those can be really good. There have been some great 13-episode seasons.
Like The World Gauntly knows.
But the world God only knows has the benefit of continuing forward with another season.
Mm-hmm.
So PLS better have another season, or else it's the worst anime ever.
True. No. If it does not get a second season, it will have been an anime that started off brilliantly and then squandered all of its potential.
Which I could name 5, but I don't want to because you're going to call me out.
Oh, I will totally call you out on it. Okay, so this is the only anime where I have gotten so angry that it went from good to bad, where I had to draw up a list of shit that pissed me off of this anime. Okay, so I have this list in my hand. I'm just going to go through it, Spencer. Feel free to comment.
Just
things may get loud.
Censor warning. There might be a lot of...
okay.
We'll do our best.
So when I upload this podcast to Podomatic, there's like a filter for like explicit and clean and like family friendly. I always put family friendly because we haven't sworn on this podcast before. I think I said bullshit once.
You dropped the F-bomb in this.
Oh yeah, I did. This one's explicit. Oh. This podcast is going all explicit. Okay, so episode 12, which is where it went to shit. That's the episode where the animation got really wonky. So I'm just going to read what I wrote. Animation got really shitty. The budget ran out. It was like Gurren Lagann episode 4, if anybody remembers that.
I do. That's with the girls, right?
Yeah.
Introduced the girls.
Yeah, Keaton's sisters.
Yeah. That's really bad.
The design direction was god-awful. They tried to cover up their really bad animation with filters. Like you said, the spinning camera. They did like fades and like zooms and like just all these... pseudo effects that tried to hide how bad the animation was.
Yeah.
And it failed. It completely failed. Fucking Ignacio getting over his hate for Kal-El off screen. He hated Kal-El's guts. And suddenly he's like, oh, I love you, Baka Aniki. Why? That's so much character development that they just skipped over. He was a major character. Why would you do that? Now that was just episode 12. Now I'm going to go over issues I have with the series in general.
Oh, good. I can actually join in this.
Yeah.
I didn't rage as much as Raj did.
Oh, Kal-El's name. We've already gone through this. It's fucking stupid. Kal-El is a goddamn idiot. Okay, when he was forgiving... Okay, his mother, her dying words to him were, don't live in hate. I want you to forgive. When he finally forgives Claire, and he has a flashback to that, he's like, I finally understand what you were saying. How do you not understand what it means to forgive? You goddamn moron!
Well, you know what? To forgive somebody isn't that easy. The problem was, like, what do you mean he understood? It was very clear that she said don't hate anybody.
Exactly.
But actually, it's quite difficult to forgive somebody. There's a lot of people that you hate, man.
There's one person that I don't look at.
If your mom was like, you need to forgive everybody, you'd look her in the face and go, I don't understand what you're talking about.
I forgave that person.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
What?
I'm just saying, it's not as easy as you're thinking. I think that was.
I know it's not easy to forgive, but the way they portrayed it is like he didn't understand what forgiveness meant.
Well, because he was a stuck-up person who got abandoned by his parents. He didn't really he had a really awesome dad, but I mean, a fake dad. But I think it wasn't as bad as you're saying.
Okay, his dad was a prick. I put this under Kal-El as an idiot because he didn't realize his dad was an idiot or was a prick. Okay, the reason the Revolution Army overthrew his kingdom was because his dad was not a very good ruler. Like, Kal-El actually mentions that the people always looked sad. Guess why they looked sad?
Well, you know what? He probably knew that. He never says anything about how much he misses his dad.
That's the thing. He says it in the speech.
He did?
He says he resented Nina for, like, stripping him of his title, taking his father away from him.
No, he said mother.
No, he said both, I'm pretty sure.
I don't remember.
The mother, I understand.
Oh, but I don't remember him saying a single thing ever about his dad. Even when the dad died in the flashback.
Even with the title, like, he never cared about losing his nobility. Nobility didn't mean anything to him. The only time he, like, wanted it was when it took him away from Claire, and he wanted to get to Claire. Anyway, moving on. They went the Oni-chan route. We've been over this. Ignacio was a poor man's LL. We went over this. Ignacio and Ari hasn't happened yet. That needs to happen.
Yeah, but why? That's not a rage
Come on.
point.
That's just something that irritates me a little bit.
Why would you want that so quickly?
Because I don't want the Oni-chan. I'm so sick of it.
Yeah, but you know that it's not going to happen.
No, I think it will happen.
Well, Ari! Whatever. Ari is... I'm going to call it Ari, just because I want to. And Ari, fine, whatever. Ari and Ignacio, that's pretty much a set thing at this point. She's given up on him. Cal, she's gone. Why would you want that to happen? That would seem way too forced if it happened in this first season.
Okay, I'm changing it. I want the BL ending. I want Ignacio x Cal.
No. We're not going to go the route of Samurai Flamenco. That was the most awkward ending last episode I've ever...
We'll talk about that in
Yeah,
the
we actually
podcast.
have to do a final podcast for...
We'll just do it in our next podcast.
Yeah, we'll do that. Oh, Samurai Flamenco.
Anyway. Oh, this one made me really angry. The Admiral is fucking useless and never does anything. Okay, so the Admiral's supposed to be like this ace pilot. He's like hyped up, like he's a really great pilot, and like you get the feeling that he's really good at what he does. But he never does it. He never gets in a plane in the entire series. He doesn't teach students. He doesn't give advice. And he just says pointless crap to Claire that she already knows. Like, okay, his entire purpose is to tell Claire the same contrived garbage that anybody could come up with.
Yeah, but what if he knew he was OP and wanted to build up the next generation? What if that's what his job was?
So he sacrifices a bunch of students for that?
I don't know.
It's terrible.
Hey man,
okay.
Some things are beyond your control.
This one, actually, this shouldn't have made me angry, but it did, because I was just mad that she was getting
just
really bad.
Just angry in general.
Okay. The Admiral's known Claire for years. Years! And whenever she's dressed as Claire and not Nina, he calls her by her full name every single
it's super
time.
catchy.
He calls her Claire Cruz.
Why would you not call somebody that? I have a friend who I say his first name and his last name mostly together every time because it.
What the hell is wrong with you? Why?
It sounds great.
Claire Cruz doesn't sound great.
Claire Cruz. It
sounds stupid. But when if he was consistent, it'd be fine. But when she's Nina, he just calls her Nina.
If your name was Raj Taj, I'd call you Raj Taj every day.
And then I'd punch you in the face.
We wouldn't be friends anymore. Raj Taj.
Why does he call her that? What is wrong with him? Okay. Why does he call her Nina, but he calls her Claire Cruz? It just really bugs me.
You need to get over that.
Ignacio and Cal needed more screen time. They had good... When they were on screen together, they had very good
together time?
Yes.
That'll probably happen in the second season.
They needed more scenes where they talked. They needed more character development together.
Well, that's the thing. Like you said, all of Ignacio's character building happened off screen.
So stupid! Even though I didn't particularly like his character, completely ignoring the largest part of his development is just disrespectful to the character himself.
I don't know, man. I have to listen to you. About 60% of your rage seems completely unwarranted.
Oh, man. It doesn't matter. It's rage.
Feels good to get off your chest.
Okay, yeah, it does feel pretty good. So, in addition to the Ignacio and Cal needing more screen time, take away screen time from the Ramen and Admiral. Because the Admiral's fucking useless, and the Ramen was useless too.
Hey. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
I have no... Yeah.
This one I know you'll agree with me on. The Sky Clan is fucking stupid. Their prophecy is about a girl who can bend wind coming on a floating island. How many floating islands are there? I'm assuming not many. And so when a floating island shows up, their first instinct is to blow it the fuck up?
Yeah, that's true. That seemed...
Like, really?
Yeah, that's true. You'd think that they'd go and investigate instead of die. Like, instead of shoot it down? Yeah, actually, I never thought of that before. Why were they shooting at Isla?
These two you should also agree with me with. They didn't show Charles. They just show his plane.
That bothered me. Like, we were talking about that. The cameo, they did...
Teasing Fauna too much without actually showing her.
That tease.
South Park speech in final episode, so lame.
That was great. So you need to have that kind of lame speech at the end.
The show ends on a cliffhanger.
And how is that bad?
It's because it was a bad cliffhanger.
What was every single episode of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood? What was every single episode of Full Metal Alchemist?
It didn't end on a cliffhanger, though.
Every episode ended.
No, it didn't.
Because the series ended. The second to last episode of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood ended on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And then the season ended, and that's why you feel okay. If season 2 came about and tied up all your loose ends, we would be having a totally different conversation.
Yeah, I wish that was the case.
But you're looking too much, hindsight is 20/20, man. You're going to listen to this podcast and go, man, I raged for absolutely nothing.
Really? I raged for the Sky Clan for nothing? I think I'm right about that one.
Well, I don't know.
And the final one, and the biggest knock against this anime, is that the movie was better.
The movie was better.
In an hour and a half, the movie did what the show tried to do in 13 episodes, but it did it so much better.
Yep, the art style was superior, the characters were superior, the main character was way better, the fighting was way more realistic, and everything just felt right. And you know what? PLS would not have been as good if I didn't have the movie as a backbone to judge the world on.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, it would not have been as good.
But one thing, I'm calm now. The rage is gone.
Are you? Man, you dropped a lot of F-bombs. I really apologize.
Very, very explicit podcast.
You probably used the F word in most verbs, adjective, and noun ways that it could possibly have been used. I'm very. As you notice, I don't swear. I just don't. So anytime you're ever going to have to go, Mom, don't listen, is probably when Raj is speaking.
I don't swear that often. Okay, this is the first podcast where I sworn.
You're the judge of that, listeners. You've listened to him, so you can back me up.
You know,
there are just so many more ways that you could speak without having to say profanity.
Sure, but I'd rather not do that. Anyway, something the series actually does well in the last episode was something that Full Metal Alchemist also did well. Character progression visually. Mm-hmm. Kal-El looks much more manly. Older. He looks so much more adult. He's taller. His shoulders are broader. Yeah. He has some harder lines around his face.
And I never noticed it until they compared it with his dad and his sisters.
Yeah, I noticed it right away. I especially noticed Ari. She looked very womanly.
You know what? It was almost as subtle as Gargantuan's tanning.
I didn't even notice that until you pointed it out to me.
Like, he, in Gargantua, really good series, which also had a bad ending. Thank you, that's number 4. It had a bad ending.
It was okay.
It could have been better. Yeah. That world had way more potential to it.
Man, when you found out what the squids were, and then like
that was messed
Chamber
up.
Squeezed the one, and I was like,
messed up. Anyways, that was messed up. Gargantua, good, watch it. That progression from the main character's beginning to the end, so subtle. Except only on Reddit would you find something like that out. And so when you saw how much she had grown older, I liked that they didn't make me explore to see that, and it was very well done. Very well done.
Yeah, the visual progression, even among his family, his sisters looked older. His dad looked the same. I think they might have added some more lines to show some age, but overall, at least with Ari and Cal, they looked older. Claire looked the exact same. Ignacia looked the exact same. But we only got flashes of them in the final episode. Yeah.
So we're pretty much winding up here, or winding down at least.
Yeah, I think that's all we got to talk about with PLS.
Pilot's Love Song is a interesting anime with a lot of potential and a lot of plot holes that probably need to be covered up.
Here's the thing. If it gets to Season 2, and I'm assuming Season 2 would be good, overall the anime would be very good. I would if I had to give it a number, I'd give it an 8, 8.5.
If there was a Season 2.
If there would be a Season 2, which we don't know yet. If it doesn't get a Season 2, I'd give it a 6.
A 6?
I'd give it a 6.
The problem is, if I don't think about an anime at least the day after it's finished, I don't really... So it'd get a 5 from me. Like, I just didn't...
Really? That low?
It's just...
Wow.
I don't know. The potential for Pilot's Love Song was way bigger in my head than what actually played out on.
It still has a lot of potential. Like I said, it squandered it. It would have been better if they explored the world more.
I hate time leaps. I hate time leaps
you do.
When they're only used to advance the plot. I like... You know what? Let me explain it. Why I hate time leaps so much? In Legend of Zelda, okay?
What?
Legend of Zelda and Metroid Prime games and all those kind of games where you have to go from one town to the other by walking, I absolutely love that. I'm the kind of guy who in Wind Waker, I love to sail from island to island. However, the people, they introduce in all these games now teleportation, so you can teleport from one town to the other really quickly. It makes the game go faster, but all the experiences you've had going from one point to the other is now completely gone. And when you teleport, you miss the entire adventure. So a lot of people say it's not the destination, it's the journey. I feel like that's a huge issue with PLS. Is that we didn't even get to see what the inside of the Holy Spring or whatever looked like. You know what I mean? They skipped so much stuff. And unless they cover it in Season 2, it's getting a 5 or lower. It just didn't... It bothers me.
Okay, I can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I honestly can't recommend the series unless it gets to Season 2. I enjoyed it so much until it got to the last few episodes, and then just... No.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it either. I mean, if you got other things to watch them first. And... You know,
I mean, add it to your list, but don't make it a priority.
Yeah, I think this is better than Vampire Nights.
God, Vampire Night was terrible.
But I mean,
we're not the target audience for that.
I watched the first season. I don't even know why. It was because it was on the My Anime List Top 100 or something like that.
It's a popular shoujo.
Yeah. So next, I believe our next podcast is going to be an apology podcast. We apologize for the crappy audio of the Log Horizon.
As well as our week-long absence. There was no podcast last week.
So in that next podcast, it will pretty much cover very, very thinly all of the anime that came out in winter.
Not all of them, just the ones that we
were interested in.
Yeah, we'll go over our list and we'll give our thoughts on a bunch of the anime. We'll also talk about the ending of Samurai Flamenco.
Yeah, because we need to finish that one up. It's pretty much a wind-up before we next Saturday begin talking about some of the new spring seasons.
Yeah, well, in the next podcast, we'll go more in depth into it, what our plans for the podcast is. We're kind of changing gears here where we're not going to really cover a single series every week anymore. We're not really going to review. We'll see. We'll talk about it in the next podcast.
We'll figure it out.
All right, so I'm Raj of James and Brown.
And I'm Spencer of James and Brown.
Thanks for listening, guys. See you later.
Bye-bye.